Brent, how are you today?
I am fine, Dan. How you doing, lad?
I'm doing great. So the new gig with the Raiders, how did this come up?
I was at a hockey game one night, and Mr. Davis, Mark Davis, and I were chatting, and he said, "Say, would you like to do some broadcasting with us?" And in the evening, and had a cold one, and I said, "Well, sure, we'll talk about it." And I thought maybe, Dan, that they wanted me to do some of the preseason television work on the not the regular season games, but before the season started. I didn't think much about it. And then Mr. Badane called, Mark Badane. He was the president of the team. And it suddenly dawned on me, they were talking about the full radio gig of doing every game. And so it started. I wasn't, I wasn't thinking about going back into the booth, but the more I thought about it, and especially with John Gruden going back to the sideline, Dick Vermeil worked with me for years before he went back, and I stayed close with Dick through the years, and it's always a great story, and I'm always amused when people say, the game has passed him by. I don't think so. So anyway, that's how it came about.
What are your expectations for the Raiders, like in the short term, long term with Gruden?
Well, short term, they've got their hands full. Okay, they're going to have about on the 53-man roster. I was working on it last night, and I see 25. It could be even up to 30 new faces from a year ago.
Wow.
And I went back and I looked at some games. I was kind of curious as to how they had played. So I went back and I looked at some games from a year ago. And to tell you the truth, the offense was kind of a hit and miss. I'm not sure whoever was running the offense for Jack Del Rio, it didn't strike me as someone who really knew how to operate an offense. And when Gruden was first with the Raiders, the one thing they could do is move the football. John knows how to do that. And Carr was up and down last year. When the team played well, it was because he was really at the top of his game. And when they played poorly, to tell you the truth, that's when he threw most of his interceptions and turned it over. But a lot of that is on the guys who were designing the plays. Amari Cooper was very hard to shake the double-team coverage. The safeties were always coming up over the top on him. So I think it's going to be a completely different team. But short term, I would say that Raider Nation should probably have some patience with what's going on. The defensive secondary was dreadful last year. They had only 5 interceptions, and that's just horrible. In the NFL, you've got a defense has to intercept 21, 24 passes in the course of a season to stay relevant. Long term, I would think they're going to do very, very well. And the one thing that Gruden did that Vermeil didn't do is Gruden came in and tore that roster up right away. Dick was a different kind of a coach. And then when he lost Trent Green, of course, it looked like it was going to be dreadful for him with the Rams. And along came somebody by the name of Kurt Warner, who had been discovered by Charlie Armey when he was throwing the ball around the European Football League. So I would say, listen, he's a very good coach. In fact, Vermeil called me. This is kind of a cute story because the writers wanted to talk to Dick about the hiring of Gruden, and one of the writers said, "Can you believe that they're paying him $10 million a year?" And Vermeil fires back, "It's about time."
How's coverage been with legalized gambling? Has it affected Vegas at all?
Not really. Dan, there's conventions, and California doesn't have it. So, those people are still coming in. I suppose you'd have to wait until Super Sunday to see if the handle is off in Nevada, how many people who might have come from the East Coast are going to wind up in Atlantic City. But so far, very negligible. The World Cup was probably not as appealing to the Vegas bettors as it was to the New York, New Jersey crowd simply because of time of day. But no, we haven't noticed it.
How's Vegas treating you?
Dan, it's damn hot down there.
Who saw that coming, Brent?
Somebody should have told me how hot it gets in the desert. But no,
yeah.
I like it, and I drive by. I can't believe the number of cranes from where I stay. Actually, I can with a set of binoculars, I can see the construction on the new stadium. And they got a workforce down there of about 500, and they say they're on schedule. The one thing about getting that stadium finished is that you can work. You can work through the winter. You're not up against real bad weather, and the crews are going around the clock and late into the evening. So Vegas is great. It's always it has always interested me, and the shows and good food and things of that nature. And it's so much larger than when I first lived there. To tell you the truth, it's a metropolitan area now, and the success of the Golden Knights was really a story to be around. The city rallied around them, Dan.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. What advice would you give the new gamblers? Those are going to be dipping their toe in this, with legalized gambling.
Be careful, okay? I will tell you right now that not many people can beat those numbers over a daily, weekly, however you want to do it. If you've never been around it, never experienced it, listen to what people tell you, how to approach it, but don't think that you're going to walk in and say, "This is my life. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a good living at this. I can beat these numbers." I'm here to tell you can't. There are a few, let's be honest, there's a few guys and a few syndicates that have been pretty successful at it over the years. But there's a reason why those casinos get bigger and bigger. And my warning would be, just kind of tiptoe in, stay in the shallow end. And everybody should know that there's troubled gamblers out there. If you've got a problem, seek some help. I approach it from a recreation standpoint. I think everybody knows that. I'm in leagues, contests, competitions. I have fun with it, but it's nothing more for me than a recreation and something to be interested in. I would never, ever, as much as I've been around it, I would never, ever say I'm a professional gambler. I'm going to make a living at doing this, because it is flat hard, okay? And there's a lure, there's an appeal. I got it, but I would say just approach it carefully, because it'll bite you, and that's how you do it. Do it for recreation. There's like guys who bet horses, bet $2 a race. Well, bet $10 a game if you want to do it on a weekend and have some fun with it. But don't. Very few, very, very few do really, really well with it.
Brent, good to talk to you. Congrats on the Raider gig, and we'll catch up with you during the regular season.
Thanks, Dad. Talk to you soon.
All right. Brent Musburger joining us from Montana because he realized it gets really hot in Las Vegas in July.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.